Today you'll see two garments. One I made myself, one for my mum. For my mum it's a dress, for me it's a top. It's a Halter top hack from a Raglan sleeve top. You actually do this with any Raglan sleeve pattern. It's a really cool look. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing. I'm super excited today to show you some woven projects I've sewn just recently. And I've used a pattern that you've already seen from when it was released last year. This is the Tambour top from Love Notions. When it was released, I sewed 3 of them. It's a really nice, comfortable style. It could be peasant style, but I don't think mine look that style. It's got a gathered neckline, little casing made with bias tape and elastic in there. And the feature that I mostly love is the Raglan sleeves. Always love a Raglan sleeve. I think they're easier to fit, easier to sew. You can do a short sleeve, you can do a long bishop sleeve, a flared sleeve. There's options there. You can make it either a top or a dress. And the other option that's nice is the button placket. It's also optional. From the ones I made last year, 2 of them have the button placket. The other one's just the front and the back on the fold. So you can add features to make it a little bit more work for you or just keep it simple. It just depends. This is the Feature Friday pattern for today. It means it's heavily discounted at $6. It's a great chance to get it if you didn't grab it last year when it was released. I'm going to show you a small little clip of my previous version so you can see them, and then I'll be back to discuss my new versions. 2 more. This is my Tambour dress I made when the pattern was released, size large. I should have made it a little bit longer. That's why I'm always just going to wear it nice and loose. If I put a belt on, it will turn out to be a mini dress, and I'm really not wearing mini dresses right now. So this is just the loose look. Very nice, you know, it's nothing that's going to make you uncomfortable. And I'm quite happy to wear a loose dress like that if I'm showing most of my legs with heels. So this is beautiful. It's a tencel. It's soft, lovely. I really like this dress. This is my red Tambour top that I made last year. It's also a size large. It's 1 inch shorter than the other tops just to fit my fabric. I didn't have much. The Raglan sleeves are normal here. I don't have the casings on the hem, but I do have the button placket on the front, and this is a gorgeous top. The fabric is so beautiful. It's nice and structured, but that matches the Raglan sleeve really well. And I love this. I've been wearing it a lot this year. It's been one of my most worn tops, just combining the design, the comfort, and then the gorgeous fabric. I reach for it all the time. One of the Tambour tops I made last year. This one has a long bishop sleeve. This is a rayon twill with the button placket. So you have plenty of options here. Raglan sleeves are super comfortable. This is a nice loose fit. I've got it just out over my denim skirt, and I think it looks great like that. Check out the matching sneakers. I usually have shoes to match. I love that. This feels so nice on. This fabric is amazing, and I like this color a lot. Okay, that's how it looks like tucked in. I do have enough ease at the waist in this skirt that tucking in doesn't feel bulky, and it's still super comfortable. And the top is long enough to have some of it inside with the blousing over, which looks super nice. Let me show you my mom's version first. Now, she chose the fabric out of my stash. If you watched yesterday's video, you know that she's visiting, and I showed you some sewing plans I have going on for her. She had the full pick of all my collection, and she chose her favorite fabrics for a few garments. And I showed you a leftover fabric from this dress I'd already made. It's super pretty, lightweight, 100% rayon. The drape is amazing, and it's a border print. So, ta-da! Because the print is nice and busy, I just made a very simple front and back on the fold. Here is the neckline gathered with the elastic. I have a short sleeve with a casing right there. You can also just hem it normal. This is a little long, so it's just above her elbow. That's where she wanted it. So I just lengthened it by about 1.5 inches, and that's it. Very simple. The rest just goes off like this, slightly A-lined. This is a straight size M, which matches her measurements. Don't worry about the waist measurement that much. My mom has a larger waist than her bust and her hip size. But for this, you don't need to worry. You're going to see it's still quite roomy. There's a lot of space at the waist. So you don't need to blend out for your waist. In, I'd probably say, a lot of cases. Now, she wanted to wear it with a belt. Of course, it's a loose fit. She would always want to wear it with a belt to have a bit of blousing. She wanted it to be below the knee with the belt on. So just to be on the safe side, I added 4 inches of length to the dress version because otherwise it would have ended up short. So I added it where there is a short and a length line around this area. And up to here, you would think that is a print, right? Black background with the leaves in brown, little dots here, but check out the hem. I think it's so, so pretty. I love border prints. They're just the best thing. This means that this is cut on the cross grain and there's no worries about that. Check out this video. I have all about cutting on the cross grain and the precautions you might want to have and what fabrics might work and what fabrics you'd rather not do that. So this is super, super nice. She didn't bring much clothes here for this trip. She thought it was going to be colder because in Chile it's like still winter, freezing. So she's going to be able to wear this to church and have another option while she's here. And this was so quick to make. I mean, yeah, very quick. Let's see it on. This is a Tambour dress I made my mom. It's a size M. This is 100% rayon. It's a type of border print. You can see a beautiful border at the hem. It's 4 inches longer than the original version just because she wanted it below the knee when she puts the belt on. It's got the short sleeves with a casing. Beautiful. This would be a very loose dress if you don't have the belt. My mom would always wear it with a belt. I really like the length here and these colors are super nice. They're autumnal, but it doesn't matter. It's a really light dress and really fresh. And because the print is busy, I've got the front on the fold and the back. This here is finished with bias tape that makes a casing with a 1/4 inch elastic inside. On the pattern it says how long it has to be and it ends up super nice. Here's the neckline all gathered. It's not a low neckline. Very, very comfortable. You can see how it looks like on the side. That's how it looks like on the back. Very nice. Super comfortable sleeves. With the print, you can't really see the Raglan sleeves, but they are there and they're very, very nice. I made Mom's sleeve about 1.5 inches longer than the short sleeve, so it's just above the elbow. She came to visit and found herself in hot weather, and now she has a nice dress to wear. She hadn't brought much clothes, and so this is going to be handy for right now. Love a border print. It always makes a dress super special. This is how she's probably going to wear it because air conditioning. So we have an off-white blazer in linen that's mid-hip length. Sort of a semi-fitted, comfortable. It still shows off the dress underneath and I think the silhouette is perfect, especially because she's always going to wear a belt with it. So I think this is a nice look. What I'm wearing is a Melody Dolman. This is not the actual pattern as such. I did a lot of hacking to this one, but the Melody Dolman is all the way up here. I did some stripe play. This is a bubble crepe dress and it's just so, so lovely. I love this one. I made it in 2019, I think. And it's got some stripe play. I've got some color blocking there with a yoke. Melody Dolman, it's a great pattern. If you don't have it yet from Love Notions, you're missing out. Love it. Now for myself, I had been planning a hack. I actually thought about doing this hack when the pattern was released last year, but I didn't have time to materialize it. But all these ideas are always at the back of my mind. I have so many ideas. Sometimes I wake up at night and I just think about these things. Sewing wakes me up. So what I wanted to do was a sort of halter top. It's not a true halter top because it's not backless. We have a full back here, but we don't have the raglan sleeves. But you get this beautiful cut line like this shape where you can see your shoulders. You probably need to wear a bra that matches that. I do have one, so I knew I was covered in that department. I'm still keeping the gathered neckline, everything. I'm just not going to sew the raglan sleeves on there. I am going to add a center front seam with a little slit. I'm going to create a little tie that's going to go all the way around, and it's also going to be the strap because I'm not sewing in a raglan sleeve. There has to be something that connects the front with the back. It's a very easy hack. I'm going to show you now how I'm creating it, how I'm sewing it. It's not that long, and this would work not just for the Tambour, but anything that has a raglan sleeve that you would want to try this on. For wovens, it would be amazing. I would actually do the same thing for a knit. Only for the knit, I wouldn't create the casing. I would just fold it under and top stitch to create the casing around the neckline. I would bind the armholes just the same. So have a think about how you can apply this if you like this style. I absolutely love it. I think this area is really pretty to show. And I've got great coverage here. I'm not exposed. I'm going to use a Tambour top to make a type of halter neck top. It won't be true halter because this will have a back piece, but it's going to have that shape where you can see the top area of your shoulders. I think it's going to look super cute. We're not going to use the Raglan sleeve, but we are going to use this armhole. So this can have a button placket if you want. So there's a piece here that you have to fold away if you don't want to use that. So I'm going to fold that away. And then I'm going to add a center front slit. You can also add it to the back, but I think it'll be easier to tie the neckline ties right here on the front. It's going to be easier if you have mobility issues. But anyway, let's just cut this front piece, and I'm going to leave extra seam allowance here in the center so I can do a slit. This is the back piece, and I'm making no changes to this for this hack. I'm just cutting it on the fold like normal. I have made some facings for the front and the back, and I just use the pattern piece to create them. This is the back, so I just put that right there. I traced along the edge, and this is going to be 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches wide right there. So I drew that back facing that's going to be on the fold. I added seam allowance here because I want to do a little fold here, and I'm planning to bind all of this armhole. So I left 3/8 of an inch extra right there on the side. And this is the one for the front. For the front, I also used this one. Remember, the placket part is folded away. I also have a 3/4 of an inch from the edge because I added seam allowance for that little slit I'm going to do in the center front. And I also left 3/8 extra right there, and it's 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters wide. So I'm going to cut 2 of these and this one on the fold. I'm not going to put interfacing on these facings because there's going to be a little casing and there's going to be a drawstring tie in there. So I don't want the bulk and the stiffness of interfacing there. Here are the pieces for my Tambour hack where I'm going to do a halter type neckline. It's all the same. These pieces are the front and the back. I added a center front seam there to do a little slit there. I've created my own facings for the front right there, 2 pieces there, and that's the back is on the fold to match it from there. Here is the tie that's going to go through the casing and is going to form a type of strap. And these armholes from the Raglan shape right there are going to be bound. I made these from the same fabric. I have enough to bind these. So it's going to be pretty simple construction. As I mentioned, these facings are not interfaced. They're going to be casings. So I want them to be nice and soft, and I don't want extra bulk. This little tie is going to go through there. Now, as reference, this tie is 50 inches long. I've got it folded in half, and 2.25 inches that way. What's going to be super important though is to stay stitch the armhole and the neckline as the first step. We don't want this to stretch out. So that'll be the first thing I do. Stay stitch the armholes, stay stitch the neckline and the armholes. Here are my 2 front pieces. Stay stitching is done on the neckline and the armhole. That's super important. And now I have a center front seam to do with a slit. But before I did any seams, I went ahead and serged everything. So look at this. I'm going to be pressing this open. So I've gone ahead and done the bottom for the hem, the sides, all of it. So I don't have to worry about that. For this center front seam, I had left 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. So I've actually even drawn it. I have a seam line right there. I drew along the edge of the paper. And at the top, I'm going to stop about 3 inches from the edge. So I'm just going to measure that roughly and do a little dot right there to know where to stop. This little bit is going to be open, and that's where my little ties are going to come out. You could do the same thing on the back if you wanted, on the center back, but I think it would be harder to manipulate the ties like that unless you could really contort and have a lot of flexibility, which a lot of us don't have. I've pressed the seam open all the way to the top. You can see it's open right there. Now I could just leave it pressed and just top stitch, but I'm just going to go a step further just in case you could see this as I move around. Just where it's serged, I'm going to fold it in like that. And I have already hand basted that down there. I'm not going to do that all the way, just where the slit is. Then the rest, I'm just going to press it open and let it be. I don't want to do this all the way down because I think that's bulky. And plus you don't need that. But right here on the top, I'm going to do it. And I think it's going to look nicer in the end. So I've got these two sides basted down so that they don't move. And now I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this. This is the back. It's also completely serged on the edges. Now I've got the front, center front seam is done and the little slit on the top. Now I'm going to sew the side seams and press them open. And then I'm going to have an armhole right there. It's not a completed armhole, but the front and the back, I'm going to be able to bind it all in one go right there. I want to bind the armhole before doing the facing and the ties. Here are my armholes. This is the back. Here is the side seam. I've pressed it open right there. And what I do is just wrap my binding around the raw edge. I don't sew it, then flip it, then sew it again. I just do it in one go. It works out fine for me. I'm just careful while I'm hand basting this to grab it equally on both sides. This is another presser foot. This has an L on it. It's also a type of blind hem presser foot, but different. When you move this, it moves this edge in or out. So you can actually get whatever seam allowance you want, and it's really helpful. I've set it here to about 1/8 of an inch. So now all I'm going to do is edge stitch, and that's the binding done in one step. Works well for me. You just need practice with that, and it can take a lot shorter than doing it the traditional way. These are my little facing pieces. I've already done some prep work to them. On the lower edge right here, I did a guide stitch at 3/8. You can see it there, and then I pressed it in. So that's how they all look. That's going to give you a really nice, neat finish on the inside. You can easily take away these guide stitches. I do a long stitch length when I do it, 4.5 or something, and it can easily fly off like that in a couple seconds. So I'm going to do that. The other thing I did was serge the edges of all of them. I don't want any raw sections on the inside. And these are all going to be folded like this. Remember, this is a facing / casing. So I've got that there, serged on the back facing here and there on the center front. Here I've got the two front facings pinned to the neckline, right sides together. This is the center front where the little slit is. And I have 3/4 of an inch extra. I drafted the facing to have that, and it's the equivalent of what I folded back in there. But I want that hanging off there. Over here also, from the binding, from the armhole, I have 3/8 hanging there. And that's exactly how I want to sew it. So I want to leave it hanging, but I'm going to sew from the edge right there to this edge there for both of them. I'm going to do the exact same thing for the back afterwards. Here's my seam. Now I'm going to snip into this because it's slightly curved. And then I'm going to extend this facing out like this, seam allowance underneath the facing. And I'm going to edge stitch, but not all the way to the edge. I think that's bulky. About 3/8 of an inch in from here to there. Okay, here's one of the front facings. It's curved this way. This is the center. What I'm going to do with this extra fabric is just fold it in like this and then fold it down like that. And that's how I'm going to get a nice, neat finish here. And it's the same over here. I'm going to take this excess, fold it in, and then fold it down. And that's how I'm going to top stitch. Okay, I mentioned I was going to fold these in. What I did to keep them in place, just there on the seam allowance, I tucked it down like 2 little stitches there, 2 little stitches there so that they don't come out. So now I'm going to fold them down, and now I'm going to baste and top stitch. And that's going to keep it all in place there because there's going to be movement with the tie that goes through there later. Now the last thing I'm going to do is these ties. They are 2 1/4 inch right here. I've just folded them lengthwise. right sides together, and I'm going to use a 3/8 seam allowance. Then I'm going to flip them, and that's what's going to go in the casings. Here's it done. I still haven't put it on, so I still have to fiddle with these ties, but I started threading it through the back, and then it comes out through there, and that's my tie. That is my strap right here, and then it comes through the front, and through there I'm going to adjust it and then do a little tie at the front. That's how it's going to be, but I'm going to regulate this and create some gathering there as per the original design on the back and the front, pulling on these little ties. Now, I'm very into sewing little bits of fabric I have left over from other projects. I don't mind having several garments in the same, I don't care. So you might have seen this on the Jenna, which is a pattern from Sinclair Patterns, the dress. I had a little bit left over. And look, for this hack, all I needed was the front and the back piece. I didn't need to cut the sleeves. And then from all the little bits around, leftovers, I cut the binding that I used for the armholes here and the ties right there, the little facings / casings, they all fit the tiny amount of fabric I had left over. So I'm very happy with that. This is the center front seam with a little slit right there. That is where you can tie this. I could have done it on the back, but I think it would be super fiddly to be tying little things at the back unless you had help. So that's why I did it in the front. You can see the tie is in there and it's gathered. Now, once I had it gathered how much I wanted, I did a little tack here by hand to keep it always in place. And then what's really adjustable is this front section. I can just pull the ties and just adjust and fiddle until I'm happy. It was super easy to make. It was really fun to think up how to do it, how to finish it neatly on the inside. And it's just such a great little top. I'm really going to enjoy it. I love this neckline. This is how it looks like on the inside, the center front seam, the little slit, it's top stitched right there, the facings / casings, front and back, and the really neat binding. Seams are pressed open. So lovely. So let's see my dream little top on Style 3 Ways. This is my newly made Tambour top from Love Notions in a size large. This is the original length with that rayon linen blend, beautiful. This has a raglan sleeve, but I'm missing the raglan sleeve here. I've done a little hack on the neckline and armhole to make it a halter top. I added a center front seam to do a little slit, little casing / facing to put a tie in there. I'll show you up closer, but it was a really easy hack to get a halter top look, without having a different pattern for it. I think the modification was super easy. It's still the same pattern piece. It's just creating that little casing and the little slit here to be able to tie these up. I think it looks really pretty. You can't really see my bra at all. I do have a bra with really tiny straps. And if you see a little bit, it doesn't matter. It's black. It goes well with the print. Really love it. Binding around here was super easy as well. And I think the coverage around here is great. I really like how this neckline turned out. It's not a low neckline at all. The gathering with the ties looks really nice. I do have a halter type bra here with really thin straps, so you can't really see them. I think the width of my tie here is okay. Ended up about being 5/8 of an inch. The coverage around the armholes is also perfect. I don't feel exposed. The shoulders on show are something different and super fresh. I really like this neckline and how it looks on the back as well. Little ponytail so you can see the details of the neckline. I've got it paired with my pink encore skirt, the pencil skirt style. I really love this. It's really fresh. The colors are vibrant. And yeah, they're just totally me. This is totally my style. I had been thinking about this hack since the pattern was released last year, and I was very excited to sew it up. You don't find patterns like this usually that often. So if you can just hack a raglan sleeve top to create this, I think it's awesome, and it's one of the best things about sewing. Here's my new Tambour top with the halter hack with the most worn shorts I ever have, made out of neat sneakers, super comfy. This is just so fresh and so summery and so comfortable. The shorts are pull up. This goes right over your head. It's just so fresh. There's ventilation everywhere. My shoulders are on show, which is great for me. And yeah, this is an amazing top. I'm gonna love it so much. Of course, I was going to bring out my white glissando denim skirt. This is the most worn skirt. I actually have to wash it. It's been so lovely to wear when it's nice and fresh, and it livens up any top that you have, especially if there's a little bit of white in the print here. It's perfect. I've got a half tuck. It's possible. I think it goes well with this type of skirt to do this little half tuck, but you saw that with the other looks, I was just wearing it loose. So whatever, it's going to look great. I hope this was helpful to see. Now, I know realistically the amount of people that don't want sleeves on their things is less, but I know you're out there and you might identify with me because I'm always looking to whip sleeves of things. But honestly, I think it's a beautiful design to have a halter top like this. And there aren't many patterns out there. I don't think many designers create these halter tops for some reason. So just the fact that I could hack it from the Tambour makes me really happy. And it's one of the reasons I sew, to be creative, to create things I want. And if I know this pattern has worked for me in the past for this, I had no doubts that it was going to be amazing. I don't feel exposed and I just feel amazing in this one. So I'm happy. As always, I love sewing for my mom. I don't call it selfless sewing. I just call it sewing with love, because selfless has a type of connotation that it's creating a little bit of suffering for you. That it's not the case for me. I'm super happy. So whenever my mom gets a new dress from me, I'm very, very satisfied. And she keeps these around like for yonks and like forever, basically. And this was a dream top for me. So I really enjoyed these two. I hope you have a look at the Tambour. It can have so many options. You can do so many things with it. And it's a great pattern. Feature Friday, great time to get it as well. Have a great weekend and I'll see you next week over here at Lifting Pins and Needles. Bye.